Day 2 of Stage 2 of the Major is in the books. Let's recap the most important games. Starting with Legacy versus FaZe, and Legacy were great in this one. They got off to a really good start here, and maybe a little bit of luck on some of these. You see Sadzin a little lucky to get this mid pick with the AWP, but he'll take it. And it just kind of ruins any plan that FaZe have here. They don't have mid, so I think Simple feels forced into pushing under, while Karrigan also tries to push B. And they're clearly hoping that Legacy are going to be defaulting here and that they can just find 1 or 2 players and win this map control. But with the entire team here, you're screwed. Then in this next round, I love Sadzin taking contact with the AWP because he's figured, okay, the CTs have just saved. They probably don't have money for an AWP themselves. So as he hears this nade getting thrown, I love how confident he is to just go for the fight and just take it and take the pick. The mid trades are actually pretty solid from FaZe, but Legacy time taking A while this is happening really well. And then the AWP is just strong in the post plant here with the lack of utility against it. It's another nice round. Here in this one, we get a glimpse of Simple. This is just such a nice info play, such a nice shot. It's just so good from Simple. But then you see Rain trying to play forward, I think to beat the utility, but his adjustment here is just a little off. He didn't expect this boost to come in. And then Lux just lands some insane shots. And he had some pretty big moments throughout this series. Then in this one, you're going to see Karrigan just getting caught so early on B. They clearly had the plan for Simple to rotate over pretty quickly, but Karrigan just gets caught so early that Simple can't really get any. He misses a shot as well, but just feels a little too easy. And I do feel like sometimes Karrigan can get caught out like this a little too easily without really delaying. Eventually, FaZe do start showing up. Rain just wins his duel here. Elige actually also does very well with the MP9 to win his duel. And then in the 2v1, even though the first player gets caught off guard, Simple is just so smart here with this reposition. He figures that the opponent is going to have to be clearing all these angles, and he's just not going to expect you to come out from ramp, right? He's going to be clearing and hoping you're in Palace or you're sitting back in ramp. It's just that instinct that Simple has that he knows he can move in here and play this headshot angle. It's just so good. But eventually, FaZe just kind of peter out here. You can see in this one, they hear this AWP CT, and I feel like it just stalls them so much. There's counter utility as well, and that just means the split timing ends up being really off. You know, the mid players don't have pressure on A to help them. There's also a connector smoke, so they can't even really help towards the A site. It just never really gets going. But this was Legacy's map pick. It's the next one that's a little more concerning, because even though Dust 2 was 13-11, I think that flatters FaZe. This was a much more one-sided game than it seems. And it actually started all right for FaZe. You know, here they fake A to keep the presence towards A, and they go for this mid to B. See a lot of teams calling this round, but it always seems to be pretty effective. It's really well traded by FaZe onto the B site. And then in the 2v2, why not chuck a cheeky B boost in there to just get this kill and lock in the round? And after such a good start, they should be on for a good half. But here in this one, I feel like they overthink things slightly, or they just think Legacy are going to look for information. They all go through mid on this mid to B quite early on, and Legacy still just have a smoke for B tunnels. So because they're not fighting mid, they can just lock it down from the site really comfortably. This car angle is so strong. This is just a very easy hold. And then Legacy started switching it up. They start going for some aggressive moves, this time in through mid. They decide to wipe this door smoke, which works nicely. And then even though they actually rotate and kind of guess wrong with their rotation of 3 towards B, this is just such a well-timed smoke towards A to block short, to slow it down, and to make sure you have that early info. If FaZe are going to push through, they're going to have to use nades. That means Dumal can use the counter flash. It slows them down nicely. It's just exactly the right timing. You know that your teammates are stacking B, so just make sure you don't lose A too quickly, and that's perfect. And the aggression kept working, and here in this one, they just take the full B info. And yeah, FaZe just couldn't handle it in this default or in this round where they're all grouped. They just get kind of snuffed out. And FaZe got a good start in the second half as well. But despite that, Legacy comes straight back. Here in this one, some nice CT pressure. Elige gets caught spamming and just reloading, which is so cheeky. But Simple trades and actually shows, again, lovely movement to just get that info and the quick reaction shot for the man advantage. But then on the retake, Ray Rain running up cat wide, doesn't seem fully ready for the fight, and honestly, he had a real off day. Rain was poor today. Frozen just gets traded by these two players that end up being stacked on short. And at this point, the long players, they just have a hard time because they're being fully focused by the AWP. There's not a distraction from the other side. There's not much they can do. And Legacy had some nice little tricks and timings up their sleeve. This one, really cool timing on this long take. I feel like they're waiting for the CTs to try and counter the long play themselves, and then they flash out just as the CTs come forward, thinking they're going to get favorable fights. So they almost wait for the CTs to play their hand first, and then they come out a little later than you'd normally expect, not playing with the spawns. That's a really cool way of doing it. Simple did have a few whiffs, and I mean, here he's trying, but yeah, just not enough to win the round. Eventually, Legacy actually started, I think, overthinking and overcooking and trying some B rushes, maybe because Rain was struggling, but those didn't really work. And then in this round, the Luxlurk actually catches a Liege, but Simple on A with no utility against him pops the hell off. Oh my, very nice to see. Then to close it out, Legacy actually just go back to B, and they finally find an entry onto Frozen. Rain does just end up getting run down, and then Simple to lose like this with the running Tech 9 from Nissim. Ouch. I know that hurts. I know he's not happy with this one. I think for FaZe, the Dust 2 was a little disappointing, especially there was a period there where Legacy's aggression on CT side is something they just did not know how to handle. And I also feel like Simple didn't even play that badly, in my opinion. He was just in kind of spots a lot of the time where he wasn't really able to have big impact. I feel like Rain was so off today. That was the big one for me. When you have two site anchors and one of them, Rain, is the one that you're trying to rely on, and the other one might be, say, a Carrigan who you know you're going to have to back up. You need Rain to do well, because oftentimes Carrigan is kind of calling rounds to maybe have some help from Simple, or maybe have some help from players leaning over to his site. So that means Rain is going to be more alone and needs to be able to do more, and he was just struggling today. Like, pure aim-wise, he was struggling. But Legacy, though, honestly, some really nice tricks. They played with confidence. I'm so curious how long this run can go on, because in theory, I don't think the players should be playing to this level, but the skill they're showing right now is very impressive, gotta say. Let's touch on Falcons quickly. They did turn it around today, but again, I do want to show some of the weaknesses they kind of had. It was that first map against OG where they actually got off to a really good start. Again, you see here, this flash to deal with the advanced setup, and then it's actually a good call to come back to B after seeing this AWP on A. You can be pretty comfortable just splitting towards this B site. OG should maybe be a bit more ready for this, but still, I think they were playing a little too scared, and, you know, they're able to punish that. Again, in this one, OG playing super far back. But Falcons are doing a good job at just keeping pressure across the map. And no mid-info here for OG means it's a pretty easy B split in the end. And after the 9-3 lead, it's the second half where they really start to struggle. And you see here this aggressive mid setup, and m0NESY was missing so many AWP shots. He misses one here. NicoDoz actually is able to clean up off the back of this. So the idea of Falcons setting up m0NESY and him missing actually ends up being really costly, because then you have these forward players who are actually just going to get farmed by NicoDoz, and then Magis left in a tough spot where he just can't get any. Here in this one, there's a flash for Nico, but it just doesn't seem to blind NicoDoz. Again, m0NESY misses one chance, eventually makes up for it a little, but then it's really TeSeS who has this nice aggressive move through the smoke, and then Kixan just doesn't really push together with TeSeS here. The timing, the spacing is not there for these guys to clear out this pit player, and they just take so long clearing out this pit position, so long focused on this one guy, that OG just get the B site for free. And then as m0NESY comes back in for this retake attempt, he misses a couple of key moments. He misses 2 shots here, which is just crazy. He was missing so many on this map. And the mid flank actually ends up coming in, and they get the kill onto m0NESY that drops the kit at doors, and that buys just enough time. Without the kit, they can't defuse, and oh, they had the chances there. In this round, Falcons have 3B, but Magis kind of ends up whiffing. I feel like he's got to get one here. And then m0NESY misses again. This is just rough, man. And the round that they actually win to stop the bleeding is from m0NESY just getting a crazy kill. Like, he can't hit the easy ones, but he gets this scout kill. And then they also have to have a little smoke spam in the mix here on a kind of low buy to actually kind of get back into this. But then the very next round, m0NESY goes for a fight. NicoDoz had fired at long not too long ago, but he moves straight to mid and just holds this angle, and he's holding for m0NESY as m0NESY wipes this smoke. And then the A site ends up being pretty clear to take, and Nico gets some nice shots, but there's just too many angles, man. And I feel bad for Nico because I feel like he's not getting as involved as he would like, considering he's still playing very well. A lot of the rounds just play out without him able to have actual impact that seems to win the round for them. And then finally at the end here, m0NESY, it's a miss again, and again with no nades against him. He does hit his second chance. Eventually it settles on this 4v3 retake, but they have no nades, and NicoDoz doesn't get traded initially. Maybe the spacing could have been slightly better, but it's some nice shots from NicoDoz. Then TeSeS taps this bomb, and I feel like he goes a little before his teammate m0NESY can get here. Maybe just needed to sit for a second and realize they had a bit more time. But then m0NESY gets his chance, and again, it's just another miss, and it's a massive clutch from NicoDoz. But it was so shocking to see m0NESY miss so many seemingly easy AWP shots. Like, I don't know if I've seen an AWPing performance that bad in a while, and that's coming from m0NESY, of all people. They obviously did turn it round, and so did m0NESY, to be fair, on Nuke and Mirage, but I think it's just still signs that there's something not clicking right now for Falcons. It feels like sometimes they're just playing a little, like, nervous. I think the pressure is just, like, getting to them in a weird way, but hopefully this is the start on the comeback for the grind. But yeah, surely m0NESY can't play that badly, because if he does, they are genuinely in trouble. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you next time.